pictures from the site show smoke emerging from the hills of Resolute Bay moments after the crash.
It's accessible by ATV, so members of the public and the RCMP and the military were able to head out to the site and look for survivors.
Survivors, there were only 3, among them a young girl. Witnesses say there was little left of the plane.
And I saw the plane into little pieces.
The airline, First Air, has been operating for more than 60 years. It says Flight 6560 en route to Resolute Bay from Yellowknife last reported communication at 12:40 local time, roughly 8 kilometers away from Resolute Bay Airport. The plane went down 10 minutes later. This aircraft model has a passenger capacity of 99, although it may have been modified for cargo. On this flight, there were 11 passengers and 4 crew.
The airport was notified by the military who was in the area.
In fact, every year at this time, a large number of military personnel are in Resolute as part of Operation Nanook, an Arctic sovereignty exercise that takes them underwater and in the sky. Prime Minister Stephen Harper is the annual guest of honor, and this year is no exception. He is scheduled to be there in just a few days. Presently, there are hundreds of armed forces on the ground. They were actually prepping for a mock plane crash as part of their training.
You never know what you're going to be doing one day to the next.
And on this day, among the small community of 250, Governor General David Johnston and his wife, they're in Resolute Bay as part of their Arctic tour. Sharon and I are deeply saddened by the catastrophe that occurred in Resolute Bay, he said. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by the tragic event.
This evening, Prime Minister Harper offered his condolences to the victims' families. He also thanked members of the armed forces who were on the ground. As for what exactly caused this plane to crash, a team from the Transportation Safety Board has been deployed to Resolute Bay.
And joining us now from Vancouver, aviation specialist Mark Miller. Mark, let's pick up on what investigators will be looking at. What might have caused this crash?
It could be any number of things. They'll look for mechanical in the airplane. They'll look at the instrument approach that the airplane would have been following into the airport. One of the things we know that the weather conditions at the time of the accident, there was fog in the area, which is common for this time of year. This is the kind of accidents that sometimes referred to potentially as controlled flight into terrain. So investigators will look at all of those things initially.
Well, Mark, the military happened to be nearby practicing for events just like this. How would they have mounted a rescue if the military had not been there?
This is very, very fortunate that they were doing this. A number of years ago, search and rescue resources in the north were cut back by the Canadian government. This has been a fear for many aviators in the north and many within the military that we would have this kind of accident. The bottom line is dispatching search and rescue from Trenton, getting an airplane on scene there would have been probably 7.5 hours. So it would have been unlikely we would have had survivors had this happened further out in the landscape.
Okay, thanks, Mark.